Howdy folks, Troy with V-Twins the V8s. I'm back. I decided that I got this all taped out, but I wanted to take a little time and show you how I laid this out and how I came up with this design, so that when it comes time, if you want to pursue this and do this on your own, you know exactly what it is that I have going on. So one of the things I did was to get some symmetry in this tank. I found the center line first. So what I did was I just ran a thin piece of 1/8 fine line or 1/16 fine line right down the middle through the center of the gas cap, and then I've got a line right down the center of the tank. Okay. Once I have that, I took a grease pencil, so like a little crayon, and I made some marks on my tank. And then I took my tape off. That gave me my center line down the middle of the tank. Once I had that done, then I figured out where I wanted my point to be. So what I want to do is I want to start out in the center of the tank, make my first point coming off of there, and then make symmetry with each subsequent point, or scallop if you want, down both sides. So I start in the very center, make my center one, make my right one, make my left one, right, left, until I lose it down here on the bottom of the tank. So I'm going to grab the camera and I'll show you what's going on here. So I'm going to put my fine line back down the middle of this tank again, just for illustration purposes, so to speak, so that you can see it. And then you can see what I have here. So here is my center line that I made. And then you could see where my scallop is. So once I did that, I took a machinist rule and I measured from the center out to the edge. So when I pulled my stripe, I got to exactly where I wanted to be, which is 1.5 inches in this particular thing. So when I get over here, I got 1.5 inches or so over here. And I did that there, and then I got over here and I measured this on for this particular scallop. I did this side, and then I made my bend. I did the same thing inside of here and inside of there. I don't really have to worry about my points coming down, because that's my taper. So once I start at one particular width at the top, I just taper that back. And then start here, this width and this width are similar, this width is similar to that, this spacing here is similar to this on either side. It's not the same per se per each one of these, but it's the same in relationship to each one. Okay, and if you go over to the other side, I have the same thing going on here. This way here, I mean, when I say I measure it with this machinist rule, I don't mean I'm measuring it like some kind of finish carpenter and I'm down to the 1/16 or anything like that. I mean, I measure it, I pick whatever my width's going to be. It's going to be 1 inch, it's going to be 1.5 inches, 1 3/4, whatever I think looks good. And then I'm going to be close to that. Give or take 1/8 of an inch or something, nobody's ever going to see that when it's painted. Not only that, I'm probably going to stripe this edge with some hand striping, which is never really perfectly straight anyways. So what happens is I just need it to be close enough so that when this is on a bike, there's so much going on with the bike, all the chrome, the bike, you got 3 or 4 different colors. This is here, the fender's there, the other fender's there. Your eye's going all over the place. Nobody's going to be like, oh wow, this scallop is, you know, 1/4 of an inch narrower than that one. Nobody's ever really going to do that, because you're not really ever really going to be able to see it. But as you're setting it up, you want to make sure that you're aware of what you're doing, so you don't end up with something that's really wacky. Because if you make it so it's like, you know, way off one way or another, you're actually going to see that. But the important part is to set your center and then work to each side. So, I mean, a tank is pretty easy. You're going to get 2 right down the middle, and then you're going to work off to the side, depending upon how wide the tank is. So I just wanted to take a little time and show you how I laid it out. So I get my center, I make my point, then I make my radius. My radius has got to be close but not perfect. The width of my radius I measure, then I come back down. And then I do that on both sides, and then I do my next one on one side. Once I get my next one on the other side, I go back to the previous side and finish that one. And then this way, and then that way. that gives me that symmetry. So I'm looking at it and I'm doing it and I'm bending it and I'm measuring it and I got it and like, yep, that looks right. Now I go over to the other side and make the same thing on the other side. Like I said, not perfect, but close. Close enough so when somebody looks at the bike here, looks good, looks at the bike there, looks the same. So I just wanted to spend a little time just showing you how I laid it out. Same thing with the fender. Start in the center, work your way out. All right, so now I'm going to get the shop ready, and we're going to put some red on this. And next time I come on the camera with you, you'll see some red on here.